This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Afghanistan's president leaves the country as the Taliban storm into Kabul. The death toll from the Haiti earthquake climbs to over 700 as a tropical storm looms. And Tunisia targets 1 million COVID-19 vaccinations in one day. Hello and a very warm welcome to Africa Live on CGTN. I'm Lindy Mtongana in Nairobi. Also coming up on the program. In sports, South Africa's Brad Binder wins the Austrian MotoGP at the Red Bull Ring. We begin with breaking news from Afghanistan, where President Ashraf Ghani has left the country just hours after Taliban forces entered the capital, Kabul. The Taliban takeover of the capital comes as U.S. forces rush to evacuate personnel from their embassy. Taliban representatives have reportedly ordered their forces in the capital to refrain from violence. Meanwhile, multiple media reports President Ashraf Ghani is due to make an announcement tendering his resignation either today or tomorrow. A Taliban spokesman says the group is currently negotiating with Afghan government authorities inside the presidential palace in Kabul. In a televised speech, Afghanistan's acting interior minister has said there will be a peaceful transfer of power to a transitional government.
The security of the city has been guaranteed. There will be no attack on the city. The capital and power will be handed over to a temporary third party, and it is our duty to secure the city. Don't be a victim of Taliban propaganda. Kabul will be safe. Don't worry, there won't be any problems in Kabul.
Well, Ashraf Ghani, who has now left Afghanistan following the Taliban's advance into the capital, Kabul, was twice elected president of Afghanistan. He is a U.S.-trained anthropologist and holds a doctorate from New York City's Columbia University. In 2014, Ghani took over from Hamid Karzai, who led Afghanistan after the U.S.-led invasion in 2001. Peace talks with the Taliban remained fragile and made little progress during Ghani's time in office. There have been previous calls to have an interim government replace his administration. Ghani had promised to fight corruption and fix Afghanistan's economy. Well, let's get to the very latest on the situation now on the ground. We're joined by CGTN's Zamrai Abisin, who is in Kabul. Thank you so much for joining us, Zamrai Alai. Now, the Taliban have, as we know, stormed into Kabul and the president has left the country. What is the latest?
Hello, Nairobi. The situation is changing, and even I'm getting used to things that's already changed. I got a report that Presidential Palace, or the ARG, is organizing a press conference, and there might be the Taliban members and also former President Karzai, Dr. Abdullah, and some other political elites. And the media phase is also changing. The people are trying to get used to it, I guess. And there are changes. It's like it was not yesterday, or if we see 1 week ago, it was a totally different Kabul, and it's already a different one today that I'm talking to you. And I was here all day long with you and the audience, but things are changing in very fast motion, you know. There are the changes in Afghanistan. People are working, and the only thing is peace. Stop fighting, stop assassination of the people, and stop killing, and they will accept you. And that's what I get today. And all around the Kabul city, there were rumors, there were propagandas, there were things. And as we see today, it seems like the command is getting on one path. there is no other side after President Ghani left Kabul and flee to reportedly Tajikistan or some other neighboring country. The Taliban are reportedly reached to presidential palace. They are out there now, and there might be a press conference, and let's see what would be the result if they want to meet the media members who have been working as part of the 20 years and the era of democracy.
Well, Zamri Ali, let me just ask you, of course, it has been a very eventful day. We've also seen several embassies in Afghanistan evacuating their staff. Tell us more about this.
Yes, I got information from different sources, and they are, as much as I know, accurate. Most of the embassies are evacuated, particularly no diplomat, no foreigner staff in the embassies now. And the U.S. embassies, as I'm talking to you, there are still helicopters flying over the Kabul sky, and there might be something. But it's all up to the future. How will the international community and all those embassies that have already been in Kabul and just evacuating will react to the situation? So we will see very rapid and at the same time in some areas very fast changes, and maybe the Taliban will get approached in a different motion about their system of governance in Afghanistan, and that's what underway. And we got reports from Doha. They are also working on this, but international society, they are fearing the situation likely, which would get worsened. But it seems like both sides now, particularly Taliban, trying to prove no, they are not doing something which shows a violent face from the Taliban now.
Right. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Zamri Ali Abbasin, joining us there live from Kabul. Well, as we heard there from our correspondent in Kabul, the U.S. Embassy has withdrawn their staff. We did speak to our reporter Toby Muse in Washington, D.C. for more on this.
Well, really here in Washington, what you're seeing is just dumbfoundedness. People are shocked. They're surprised at the speed of which we've seen the Taliban advance across Afghanistan. And now we're seeing these images of the Taliban walking freely, and it looks like to be inside of Kabul. Those other images of the Taliban seized weapons and seized these military vehicles. This is after this 20-year US military mission in the country, spending blood and treasure. And this seems to be the end now. Just to give an idea of how quickly this has all happened, a week ago, the Washington Post interviewed intelligence officials who gave the time range of between 1 month and 3 months that they thought Kabul could hold out. In the end, it looks like the end could be very close right now. This weekend, President Joe Biden authorized an additional 1,000 troops to go to Afghanistan to help with this evacuation of people. The president warned Taliban that any acts that put US personnel at risk will be met with a swift and strong US military response. He also talked about the need to maintain vigilance over the country to monitor any possible threats coming from it. But by the end of this statement, President Joe Biden kind of doubled down on his decision to remove the US troops from Afghanistan. He said 1 more year or 5 more years of US military presence would not have made a difference if the Afghan military cannot or will not hold its own country. And that's really the message you're hearing here in Washington, D.C. Yes, they're very surprised, but they're saying, look, if the Afghan army cannot hold off the Taliban, there's little that the US was going to be able to do. We're also hearing another line from the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, this morning was saying that, look, this is not Saigon, comparing to that pivotal moment in US foreign policy in 1975, those images of the US helicopters flying out of the city of Saigon. And he kept repeating, this is not Saigon, this is not Saigon. Well, more than one military historian has pointed out that South Vietnam managed to last around about 2 or 3 years after the end of US direct involvement in that country before it was conquered by North Vietnam. Now we have a situation where the government of Afghanistan seems to have been on the point of collapse after just a matter of weeks.
Well, in addition to the United States, other countries are evacuating their diplomats from Afghanistan. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson promised Afghanistan whatever support it could give, even as he confirmed the withdrawal of most embassy staff. It will also recall the parliament from its summer recess next week to discuss the situation in Afghanistan. Germany, Czech Republic, Spain, Sweden, Finland, Norway and Denmark are also either reducing or evacuating their diplomatic staff. Earlier, in a stark warning, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the Taliban to immediately halt its offensive and negotiate in good faith to avert a prolonged civil war. And NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says the alliance will keep its civilian diplomatic presence in Afghanistan as it tries to support the Afghan government and security forces in the face of the Taliban offensive. Meanwhile, the United Nations is worried that Afghanistan will be facing a humanitarian catastrophe. Almost 400,000 civilians have been displaced so far this year, 80% of whom are women and children. Afghanistan is on course to see its highest ever number of civilian casualties in a single year. Over 1,000 civilians have been killed or injured from attacks, especially in Helmand, Kandahar and Herat provinces. With thousands fleeing the violence, the UN is calling on Afghanistan's neighbors to keep their borders open. Tens of thousands of people, including women and children and elders, headed for the capital Kabul before the Taliban entry. Many of them have been camping in parks. Our reporter Mohammed Hadiz has more.
We are here in a park in Kabul city. Thousands of people have gathered here, including women, children and elders. These people have been forced due to massive attacks of Taliban across Afghanistan.
They have arrived in the past few days mainly from the north of the country. Due to the conflict and intense fighting, they have had to leave everything behind. Zarbegum had to leave even the dead behind to save her own life.
In one night, we lost 36 people just from our village to get here. We survived a dangerous journey. We've been here for 6 days, but we've been left on our own and no one cares.
12-year-old Wahidullah is a school student from Kunduz city. With a lot of hardship, he managed to flee but says a lot of his friends and schoolmates have been trapped there.
The Taliban told us to leave home. They were using homes like military fortresses. Yesterday we reached Kabul with nothing but some clothes. We left everything behind.
Because of the worsening security situation and rapid gains of Taliban in the north of the country, thousands like Wahidullah left everything behind and ran for their lives. Amin Sherzad, a journalist seeking refuge in this park, says the fighting always causes misery, of which there are life examples.
I ask both the Taliban and the government, please have mercy on the people. They have suffered a lot. Nothing has been left to them.
The escalation of conflict in Afghanistan is adding untold suffering to women and children. According to UNICEF, since start of 2021, 500 Afghan children have been killed, hundreds more have lost their childhood and been traumatized by the atrocity they have witnessed. Mohammed Hadiz Pardes, CGTN, Kabul.
Well, let's bring you some analysis now on the unfolding situation in Afghanistan. I'm joined from Cairo by Professor Gamal Abdel Gawad, a former chairman of the Al-Ahram Center for Strategic and Political Studies. Professor, thank you so much for your time. Now, it has taken the United States, almost 2 decades to help build, train and equip the Afghan military. But in just 1 week, the Taliban was able to seize many provincial capitals, including Kabul. What went wrong?
Well, definitely this is a major setback for the United States, for its reputation, for the effectiveness and the commitment of the United States assistance is definitely in doubt right now. Let me say this is definitely a technical, there is a lot of technical problems in the process of construction of the Afghan army, but essentially there has been a political problem in the process of reconstruction or the nation building in Afghanistan. The United States has failed to build effective functioning political system in Afghanistan, and this is the essential cause, the main cause of the failure that we are watching right now. A ruling coalition that enjoys the support of the people, a regime that enjoys sufficient legitimacy that can counterbalance the legitimacy and the support the Taliban, an Islamist group in a traditional society, is enjoying. It's a political failure, essentially, rather than technical failure that the United States committed in Afghanistan.
And what are the wider implications then of what you call a political failure? I mean, there are fears that Al-Qaeda could take root in Afghanistan if the Taliban are left to flourish. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the only clear agreement that the United States has made with the Taliban is that a Taliban government would not host or allow hostile groups to take refuge in Afghanistan. In other words, Taliban committed itself not to repeat the experience of Al-Qaeda that ended up in the 9/11 terrorism. But on the other hand, a victory for Taliban will essentially boost the morale of similar groups around the region in Central and South Asia, and perhaps we will see a rise of fundamentalism, extremism, terrorism in the coming period, and we will see that implicating a number of countries in the region, in Central Asia and in South Asia. Pakistan is vulnerable. All nations in the former Soviet Union in Central Asia also are vulnerable. Would that extend to other regions of the world where extremist groups are entertaining significant support? Maybe, but I think the effect will essentially be regionalized within South and Central Asia.
Indeed, some big concerns then for the region. Thank you so much, Professor Gamal Abel Gawad, joining us there from Cairo. Now, in Haiti, the death toll from a powerful earthquake has rocked the western part of the country, and the death toll has risen to 724. At least 2,800 more people have been injured from the magnitude 7.2 quake. It struck about 160 kilometers west of the capital, Port-au-Prince. There were several aftershocks, including a magnitude 5.9 quake. Hundreds of homes and buildings have collapsed. This is the largest earthquake to hit Haiti since a magnitude 7 earthquake devastated the Caribbean island in 2010, killing 200,000 people. Widlaw Meroncourt has more from Port-au-Prince. Apologies for that. Let's now take a short break. You are watching Africa Live. Coming up, Tunisia targets 1 million COVID-19 vaccinations in one day. And we meet a tour guide who is defying traditions among Kenya's Maasai community. Africa is a continent of diversity, with varied climates and enchanting geography, and a people so distinct, but with a shared enduring spirit. We are at the heart of the continent to bring you the untold stories. Let's have a look. We celebrate Africa as it shapes its own destiny.
I've been Shirushi, Tunis, Cairo, Juba, Johannesburg, Ethiopia, Tanzania.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
I try to not let it affect me, but there are days when it does. I'm a human being, and to see patients in a hospital bed and their family family members are not there. There's no one there to hold their hand, that human touch, you know?
I just hope everyone can remember that the situation is not permanent and that everything will get better eventually.
Tunisian health authorities are holding the nation's second COVID-19 vaccination open day, targeting the youth in the country. The activity has been organized by the Tunisian presidency, the Military Medical Directorate and the Health Ministry. Over 500,000 people were vaccinated on the first open day.
The second walk-in vaccination day in Tunisia is a large-scale operation. It targets people aged 18 to 39.
This open vaccination day is for the active population. They are at a high risk of getting COVID-19 infection. The turnout was low in the morning, but youth started to come in the afternoon.
According to the Health Department and the Scientific Committee in Tunisia, many young adults are foregoing COVID vaccines. In fact, vaccine hesitancy is one of the main challenges facing the health authorities in the North African state.
I am a teacher. I'm 28 and I'll turn 29 very soon. I think all young people should get vaccinated because the whole Tunisian population will get infected as well as the whole world. It's very important to get the doses of the jab. Youths are reluctant to come because they think they're immune against the virus. This is an irresponsible behavior because everyone should think of public interest, which is mass vaccination.
This is one of the 401 walk-in vaccination centers in Tunisia, here at the Pioneer School of Ariana in the suburbs of the capital city, Tunis. The vaccination operation is smooth and well organized. Meanwhile, COVID-19 vaccine selfies are taking social media by storm. As the mass vaccination campaign picks up, young people are sharing COVID-19 vaccine selfies on social media to encourage other Tunisians to wake up and get vaccinated.
The organization is perfect. I'm very happy because I got vaccinated and I want to share this special moment with all my friends and family. I hope Tunisia will win the war on the pandemic.
More than 130,000 students have been vaccinated at walk-in vaccination centers across Tunisia. As infections are spreading rapidly in the country, the COVID-19 task force aims to vaccinate 2 million people over the next 4 weeks. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Here in Kenya now, the Maasai people have long played a key role in the country's tourism and conservation sectors. But the community's strict traditional gender roles often mean that women don't benefit equally from these lucrative vocations. Coming up, we meet one woman who has decided to buck the trend, opting to delay marriage and family life in favor of becoming one of her area's few female nature guides.
You know, when I look over the Masai Mara, it always makes me happy or make me to feel so proud of this area. Maybe when I move to the other places, I won't feel like I'm comfortable there until I come back to Masai Mara. Okay, my name is Agnes Kelero Mako. I'm a local girl. I'm a Maasai lady, and again I'm a lady guide. So I'm working in Abesho Conservancy, and lady guides are very few because we are happy when some of the camps balance the gender. Because what a man do, a lady can do better than me. For the Maasai ladies, they always get marriages early when they are still young, because when you are maybe 15 years old or 12 years old, that's the time your parents can give you out, or you can get married to maybe someone that you haven't chosen for yourself. My dad died while I was still young. Many men were looking after me. They wanted to get married with me because they say that I don't have enough money to proceed with my education. But I didn't want that. That's the time I ran to my head teacher. I told him about that. I told him, you just look for anywhere to help me in order for me to proceed with my education. rather than getting married earlier. He told me about the guiding school, and the time I finish, that's the time I went to look for the job. When they see a lady driving, that's really complicated in the Maasai's community. This work is just meant for the men, not lady. So when I drive maybe to the open air market, most of them might run away from me. And there is a time that I went to Nairobi and I saw many ladies driving. So when I was looking at them, I was telling myself that I wish if I would drive again like these ladies. So now I'm really proud of myself when I see myself driving a big Land Cruiser, and when I go again to the community and when they see me, I'm really proud of myself. When I'm going to the street picking the clients and they see that I'm a lady, and they start asking questions like, are you the ones with us? So you just tell them yes, and when you welcome them to the car, they start looking at you if you are capable of driving or talking to them. So you just show them that you are able to drive. You start telling them about the conservancy, the rules that they are supposed to follow. When you take them back to the airstrip while they are departing, that's the time they feel so proud of you and they start recommending. I'm thinking of getting married, but for the ladies sometimes it's very hard. Like I told you before, when you get married, the husbands will not allow you to work again because you have to go back home and look after your children, look after your cows, and again look after the entire family because you can't serve two masters. And the husbands will be providing for you. But right now, us as ladies, we are providing ourselves. And we are really helping our parents, we are helping our families, and we are happy about that. So in my future, I want to help my kids, like taking them to the better school, and I want to encourage them to do better than me. For the young generation, I'm sure that their life will change more than compared to ours.
Well, that's where we leave it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember to send your feedback to the contacts on your screen and follow us on social media. I'm Lindy Mtongana from me and the team here in Nairobi. Thanks for watching and take care.